Welcome to the quick hitter version of Buckets, Boards, and Blocks. Our featured discussion this week is just with one another as we reflected on all things 2020 on our last episode of the calendar year. I feel like I can confidently say, guys, that stick to sports should definitely die moving forward. Because whether people agree or not with what athletes have to say, sports, whether you think back to the Jane McManus quote, who I think Sean Doolittle made it popular, but Jane said it originally, sports are a privilege of a functioning society. All the dysfunction of this year also disrupted sports. And while we understand that athletes are so much more than just the respective sport player that they play, they too, as leaders, as we've seen like never, no, I shouldn't say like never before, but as we've seen at a far more common clip this year, they are leaders in their communities. They are leaders in terms of what's right in our society. And we saw that intersect throughout the sports world. And I, for one, was extremely proud of every athlete that was willing to use his or her platform.
The NBA and the WNBA were definitely leaders when it came to this. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, the athletes are primarily African American. But I think you also had very sort of morally upstanding leadership in the sports that wanted the athletes and the coaches and whatever to have their say. And I think that did more than almost anything else we saw. I mean, look, people will listen to politicians, but most of them, you know, they're politicians, right? They usually say things and they just kind of say things because they think it will help them get a few more votes. With the athletes, the men and the women, this was like everything to them, and they put it all out there. And that's how that message spread so far and wide. It wouldn't have done that with just politicians. You needed these people that we all respect, admire, and that the little kids look up to. How many little kids now are going to understand this topic? And they wouldn't have if some senator said it. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't even be paying attention.
No, that's real. I was one of those people. I think we talked about it in a few shows back. I was one of those people that thought that when sports came back, it would be a distraction from what's really going on in the society. However, I was wrong because I was thoroughly impressed with the way that the NBA, WNBA handled all the social justice things. They really put it to the forefront and made sure that, yeah, we're playing basketball games, but this is what we care about more. So we're going to show this through commercials. We're going to show this through our jerseys, through the court, like all types of ways, and not just the players, but shout out to the NBA for really pushing that, and ESPN too, because the commercials they show, the graphics that they show, the things they choose to highlight, you know, it took everybody. It took everybody that was working on the game, working on a project, more than just the players, to really just push that topic, and they really did a great job doing that.
Yeah. It was a powerful year. I find it hard to see where, even if you didn't wholeheartedly agree with the approach, I find it hard that you cannot find empathy for the messaging. And again, so much of this year is about willingness to have conversations and acknowledge your privilege, right? And that your experience does not equate to the experience of every American. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I echo everything that you said, especially with you, King, because I thought for sure as soon as we got back to scores, it was going to be about stat lines. And I think about Jamal Murray. I think about the moment with Raptors point guard, why can't I call his name? Wichita State.
Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet in the bubble, and the tremendous work that the reporters did in the bubble. Malika Andrews, who's been on the podcast, her viral moment when she got emotional reporting from the bubble. This stuff was heavy, man. But I so often think, and I think back to doing a show with MSG, while they didn't want to get into it, right? And I understand that, we were allowed to address it off the top of a show. And I literally, guys, I was sitting there like, what am I about to say? Because what I'm not going to do is act like everything's okay. And what am I about to say? Because the other part of this is I need this paycheck. So what am I about to say? And I swear it had to be God. Like, so the conclusion I came to is, if we want to compare sports to society, the best teams that I've been on, we have had contentious practices, we've had heated locker rooms, And when things blow up, that's when we can really address the issues and get down to the nitty gritty and begin to rebuild so that we can be better. And so in many ways, in terms of sports analogies, that's what I equated 2022. Our heated locker room that's been boiling over, and it's about time that we address some of these things that we try to act like don't exist. So that's where I am on 2020.
Look at you, Monica, coming through with the analogies.
Listen,
Okay.
that was heavenly, because I was like, oh wow, that's good. Let me just say that.
Okay.
You said it. You said it all right.
If you'd like to hear more from our past thoughts and our future hopes for 2021, check out the full version of Buckets, Boards, and Blocks from Pure Hoops Media. Also, we're on YouTube, so go check it out.